And today's guest, he is working for NBC. He's an Emmy award-winning photojournalist and currently has a series running on Amazon Prime. And everybody, it's Not Another Black Movie is the film that he's directed. Also, Not Another Zombie Movie. He currently has a very sketchy TV series called Choke on That runs on Amazon Prime. He recently won the 2018 Hollywood and African Prestigious Award in the category Best Independent Film Director for Not Another Black Movie. Donte Diesel Williams. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Take two. When that's how you know it's live, when you got two takes going on.
Exactly.
You know.
It's like live TV.
Yeah,
anything can happen.
Yeah, we had that audience cheering on the first one. Too bad they're.
I'm used to it.
I hope they make another soccer kick soon.
I know. I mean, if somebody can score a goal soon, that'd be great.
Yeah, right. But Donte, I first came across you when I saw one of your movies. It was Not Another Black Movie, actually. And then I happened to run into you at the Simeon Henderson show.
Oh wow!
Which was a live show, which
okay.
My friend Ryan took me to that I was a part of, and you were there.
Yeah,
and,
man.
That was quite the interesting. Like your story caught me right away. You're talking about Obama. You're talking about producing movies, working for a big television series and shows. And how did you get here, man?
Well, I mean, I started in college. It was it's one of those things, man, where as a kid I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to do video. I always wanted to be creative, and so from there, man, I just I essentially just kept going. I grew up on the west side of Chicago, and the school I went to didn't really have resources for the program. But once I got to college, that's when I just did anything I could to find the film department and get into the film department. So I got into film, I got into communications. I made my first short film in 2002 in college.
Okay.
It's called The Legend of Bootney Lee, and it was
what is it?
The Legend of Bootney Lee.
Bootney Lee.
So it's a comedy
Can we find that online right now?
It's on YouTube. It is on YouTube. So if you search The Legend of Bootney Lee, it is on YouTube. But and a lot of people will look at it's another guy on social media, Spice Adams. His character Cream Biggums is a lot like Bootney Lee. Not saying he stole it, but it's similar though. So if you like Cream Biggums, you'll like Bootney Lee.
So everybody tuning in today, we are actually live. You might notice whether you're watching on Facebook Live right now or just on YouTube or one of our podcast avenues, Spotify, Apple, Google Play, wherever. We are here at Atlantic Bar and Grill. I want to thank the venue, thank the bar for letting us use this space. It's an amazing place here in Lincoln Park in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And we have a live show today with Donte Diesel Williams, and we have some guests in the audience as well. So we're gonna make this episode a little different today. It's gonna be interactive. It's something new. Something new we're trying. We're gonna get the audience involved in the show as well.
Man, this is a cool venue, man. I mean, I'm loving the atmosphere here. I like it's open. You got people here, man. This is pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely chill. Definitely great to come by, watch a game, have a beer, and the food. I see all you eating, and I haven't eaten yet, so I'm over here. It's killing me a little bit, but
yeah, Ryan is over there eating. He couldn't resist.
Hey, hopefully we hear from him on a mic later on. I know he's been working on getting some questions ready just for you. He's been waiting for this for months.
Yeah, man. But I mean, I'm glad to be here, man. And I want to give a shout out. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my wife because when you're married and you're working and you're doing this, my wife Dinesha, she puts up with a lot of stuff. So I just wanted to give her a shout out first and foremost, and then my kids also. And then also a lot of the work that I do with Jay Davis. He writes he writes most of the material. I'll also write, I have sketches and that we haven't shot yet, but and also some series that I've written so far. But a lot of the stuff that we do, it comes from our experiences. Mm-hmm. But then I can tell him something and then he'll write it down. and then all of a sudden it'll be a sketch, and we'll record it, and everybody will laugh. So
Yeah, no, and you fell in love with directing, right? That was
Yeah.
your baby. That's kind of what you took off
Yeah.
with. And the thing is, you're still working a job.
Yeah.
Like we're
Oh,
we're
yeah.
over here talking about becoming a boss. You're a boss while still working a job. Can you explain that?
It's so funny, man, because I've worked in TV news for 16 years, and I've had a lot of different experiences. And when I came out of college, I have a sociology degree, first and foremost. So I always put that out there. I got a sociology degree.
Oh man,
and
this is gonna get interesting.
Yeah. So like, but I studied cinema studies as a minor, and so like I said, I made my student film, and I did a lot of different projects with a lot of the people, and then once I did that, I actually got a job in TV and news at a TV station. So I was like, well, you know what? I'll take it because it's getting my foot in the door. And so originally I thought that, going in the news was getting my foot in the door, and I was going to eventually work my way up to where I can do my own production and stuff like that.
Did you imagine yourself like being an anchor or something like that?
No. I never like, and I've had people even in the news business say,
Yeah.
"Oh man, you have a voice for news. You should actually pursue being on air." And I'm like, that wasn't what I wanted to do, and I was comfortable being creative. Just being creative and doing everything behind the camera and working with a lot of different anchors. I've worked with some people who have been on like network, who are currently on network TV. So you can, currently see some people now on like Good Morning America and all that. Like, I've worked with them. So that's been, I think, a highlight, of my career. And then transitioning back into doing like the indie stuff, doing the indie movies and the indie sketches and TV shows. Like right now, we got a show coming up that we're going to film called Stepdads, which Jay Davis also, he wrote this. It's a pilot. We're doing a pilot episode, and we'll be filming that Sunday. But it's crazy how actually.
It's called Stepdads.
Yep.
Son?
Yep.
And do you have any contract with any avenue
No,
yet?
not yet. We're doing it on our own.
Okay.
We a lot of it is us. We do it on our own, and so, but it's crazy because for a long time, man, I would not bring it up to like people at work. I would do stuff, and then I would go back to work, and sometimes people would, they'll hear about it or be like, man, how do you manage to work here and then do that, and then.
Yeah, it blows my mind. And for everybody tuning in really quick, just wanted to say that be sure to follow Donte at Instagram at Donte Diesel, just one word, Donte Diesel. And he's also very active on Facebook, /Donte.Williams.501. 501 stands for?
I don't know, man. That's the address they gave me. So I'm like, it's like I wear Levi's, so maybe that's what it is.
You're like, I swear it's Donte Diesel everywhere. But
Right.
then I go on it. It's actually facebook.com/Donte.Williams.501.
That's the exact address. I did not know.
Well, how do you do it all? How do you make that happen while being at NBC and then still directing your own indie films, and having a show on Amazon Prime?
Passion, I guess, it's one of those things that I've always wanted to do. As a kid, growing up, you couldn't, I dreamt of doing that. And so when I got the opportunity, that's what it came to. It's just like I got that opportunity, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, I learned first and foremost, being in TV was a learning experience. So the longer that I was in TV, I actually started to learn more, and being around more experienced people. I work with a group of guys who are like extremely experienced guys who've been in the business for longer than I've been alive, and I mean, so like I've taken advantage of that.
Okay.
And then I've also helped them in terms of me like knowing about technology, and I'm like this techie type dude, so I've helped them out in the process.
So you kind of took advantage but didn't at the same time, right? You
Right.
took what's there and you maximized it instead of being over there and complaining how some people complain about their jobs.
Right.
You're here learning, picking brains.
You
all day.
always, you know what? I'll say this: you're always going to complain. I complain a little bit, I'll admit, and but after a certain point, I had to figure out, have I exhausted every possibility that I can? And so that was what was important, was I had to exhaust every possibility in order to say, all right, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to do. And actually, what happened is my coworkers started to embrace me even more. Mm-hmm. So that was
long hours, that's for sure, right?
Yeah. Yep. So it's long hours. I mean, there's a ton of things that I've done, man, in terms of like stories with I've interviewed Barack Obama, but this was before he was president.
Oh yeah, can you do you mind, like you kind of talk about that like it was no big deal, and I love how you casually brought it up. Can do you mind sharing just a little bit about how that happened?
Oh yeah, you know what? I was working in my first market in Peoria. And what happened was they sent me out one day on a Saturday, and they said, you're going to go to this fundraiser in Pekin, Illinois. And Pekin, Illinois didn't have a real good reputation at the time, and so or welcoming reputation. And so
I don't even know what it is.
Right, it's a small town in central Illinois,
okay,
like not too far from Peoria. That's why I worked at.
Sorry to anybody tuning in from Pekin, Illinois.
But so I mean, I had coworkers. I know people from Pekin. They were very cool. Actually, helped me get to where I'm at. But what happened was they sent me there and they gave me a list of questions. I asked this guy he's running for Senate. His name's Barack Obama or something. That's what they said at first. And so I drove out there. I was by myself, and I had only been in the news business for like a year. And so I go to this fish fry in Pekin, and it's under a tent that was like half the size of this room, and there's 40 people there, and I think me and Barack probably the only two black guys there, so he remembered me. But I held the mic out to him, and he took the mic from me. He actually held it himself, so I had to set the camera up and everything. And as I did that, I started, I got nervous. And I'm like,
I can see it.
I'm like, you know what? He wasn't even senator then. So I said, why am I getting? In my head, I'm thinking, why am I getting nervous? And I'm pull out these questions and I'm asking him questions, and he was just smooth and answered all the questions, and it was cool. And then it was just like, that was it. It was over. He was like, hey man, we're frying some fish over here. Why don't you go ahead and get you some fish that they're frying over there? And I'm like, no, I said, no, Senator, I got another story I have to go to. And
oh man.
And so the thing is, man, like it after what I took away from that though was I actually felt like he could be president. And so I immediately, like, I told my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, and I told my best friend, I was like, man, this dude's so cool. He could actually be president. I started to tell him that. But
was he as calm as he is on TV?
Yep, very. And I'll give you one more tidbit. A couple months later, probably like I want to say 4 months later, mm-hmm. I actually got hired here in Chicago. I was working at CLTV. That was another station I worked at. And they sent me on the story to cover Barack Obama again in Oak Park. And I'm there following him around with a camera. And he's in the mirror. We're in this back room. He's getting ready to go give a speech to like the Young Democrats of America or something like that. And he's fixing his tie. And I said, I said, excuse me, Senator, I don't know if you remember me, but I interviewed you like a few months back. And then he's like fixing his tie. He takes a glance.
Was he a senator at that point?
No, he was running. And so just out of respect, I called him senator. Because he was, I think, a state rep. And so he's fixing his tie. He's in the mirror, and he's like, he looks over at me. He's like, yeah, I remember you. You were all by yourself. I had to hold the microphone. I forgot that tidbit. I forgot that one little thing and I was like, wow. And then he went out and gave this speech, and I was like, how can he remember small details and then go out and have this memorized speech that he just gave to everybody? So I kind of knew he had like the mental capacity to be president.
So after all the people Barack met, he remembered you from years back.
Well, no, this was on the months. So I'm quite sure he wouldn't remember me now.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Because that was 15 years ago. So
okay. Do you have his contact info?
No. Oh no, I never had his contact info. I never.
Would you be willing to call him on the show and see if he'd be willing to come on?
If I had the contact info, probably not, because
Ryan, do you got it?
Man.
Oh man.
Let me do one thing. My live stuff.
No, we're going live over here. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you're here, thanks for all the guests that came out. To Atlantic Bar and Grill. You are the ones that make this thing happen and make this thing real and keep it going. We're over here live, Bossed, Two Boss Podcast with Donte Diesel Williams. And we're currently...
I'm fixing my Facebook Live.
Yes, he is fixing the Facebook Live.
I wanted to jump in here too, guys. I'm not on camera, but, we got a few people showing up. I just want to let everybody know that, we're going to be doing this a little bit more often. We want to kind of open this up to the audience at some point. We got a couple people here that are, kind of interested in, podcasting, maybe starting a podcast, and maybe they'll have some questions that come up with. We'll see. But, when we do this in the future, depending on how the turnout goes, like we were talking about before, building on the podcast idea, kind of open it up to other people, helping people with production. We just want to hear from business owners, people that are interested in something. If you want to do a podcast or you just want to promote your thing or meet new people in different industries, this is a place to come. Chances are it's going to be here at the Atlantic. We're in Lincoln Square.
Lincoln Park?
It's Lincoln
Square.
Square. Yeah.
Same thing, right?
Yeah, Lincoln Square.
My bad.
Not the same
Actually,
thing.
It is my fault. I thought it was Lincoln Park the whole time.
Yeah, no, it's Lincoln Square, and
I was told it was Lincoln Square earlier.
Right,
Oh,
yeah, but
man.
I mean, we're just having fun with it. Everything.
Podcasts can be fun. They don't. You don't have to sit there in a closet by yourself recording it. They could be fun.
If they're not fun, then nobody's listening. You got to make it fun. You got to make it fun to listen to. Right.
Exactly.
Right. But I just wanted to jump in, let everybody know that, and here we are. We got Donte back in the booth.
I'm back. I'm back now because I had a call and my phone, everything went offline. Because that's the future.
That is the future operating. But that was Steve Wiley. He didn't introduce himself. I should have properly introduced him. That's Steve Wiley, aka the leg breaker that you hear about every episode.
The leg breaker. That's scary.
He is here. He is here.
He looks like a leg breaker too.
I'm on scene this go around. So when the speed round comes up, Miro really is in trouble.
Oh yeah.
So
once we get to that one, we gotta pay very, very close attention.
I lift weights, but he's a leg breaker. So he looks like the leg breaker.
So tell me, did you know you were going to be over here, directing, producing films of this capacity, getting your shows on Amazon? Did you know this was going to happen when you were working back in the day, just interviewing people of like Barack Obama?
It was always a vision. It was always one of those things. It was a goal. It was a goal that I set out for from when I was a kid, but like I said, it kind of got sidetracked for a while when I went to doing TV news. And TV news is a lot different than doing film and TV shows or scripted entertainment, I should say. And so what happened is I actually got back into it by doing music videos with a friend of mine. His name is Jay Hollins. He's a R&B recording artist, and so I started shooting his videos. And through him is how I met Jay Davis. And so Jay Davis had started writing, and he'd been writing for a couple years. He did some a couple films, and so Jay Hollins tells me, "You guys would probably work well together." And so me and Jay Davis started shooting sketches, and I use everything that I knew, in terms of like my TV experience. I've learned directly from TV directors, and got experience being in the control room with them. So, and just, also knowing how to kind of organize productions. Mm-hmm. And he also knows how to organize productions. So the two of us pretty much, we put our heads together and just said, all right, this is what we're going to do. We shot these sketches. We shot enough sketches that we had an hour worth of sketches. And the first thing we released was the original Choke on that DVD. Mm-hmm. And it was the uncensored sketch comedy, which was we just put it on DVD.
Do we even want to know what was in that?
Yeah, well, you know what?
if that could be uncensored, ooh.
It was uncensored.
No, that must have been great.
It was uncensored, but I mean, it was still funny, and we started shooting choke on that. See, we started shooting the second choke on that. So what happened was he wrote a script called Not Another Zombie Movie. He said, hey, man, would you be interested in directing a zombie movie? I said, send me the script. So I read the script, and I think it was like the script was probably like 90 something pages, or maybe longer than that.
Is that normal or is that less?
That's actually, well, it might have been a little bit longer than that. It probably was 100 pages, but that's about normal, and you might get longer than that for a feature film. And so as I'm reading it, man, I'm just laughing, but I'm looking at everything in the script. I'm like, you want a bus crash? You want smoke and this and that? I'm like, how are we gonna do this?
With a budget of what?
With a budget of was in my pocket. so like,
Seriously?
Yeah.
You guys didn't get like external funding?
No, we didn't. What we did was I actually funded the movie. I was executive producer for both films. But one of the things I realized was that it was a really good script, and we couldn't wait. Like I didn't want anybody to like jump on it and steal the idea or anything like that. Also, I felt, I think, just as passionately about that script as he did, him writing it. So I felt like we need to get this out and we need to do this movie. And so I just, scraped up some money and got a little budget together, and we got people together, man. Actually, it was about almost, I want to say 5 years to today, actually. Today was our first shoot day. I think 5 years ago. We shot it in 2014, and we shot it at my house. And now I called, so here's the thing. We did everything the right way.
Yeah.
So we called all the municipalities, and we told them we were shooting, and if we shot outdoors, we didn't really do anything guerrilla style. And so I called, I live in the west suburbs. I called my village. They were cool. They said, yeah, we might not be able to block off the street because we got a parade. And so I was like, uh-oh. But they left like orange horses there at my house. And I actually went door to door days before, letting all the neighbors know. I typed up something, letting them know, like, this is what we're going to be doing.
Oh, wow. If
you hear loud screaming and commotion, we're shooting a film on the block. And what we said was, me and Jay, we both said, man, we'd be happy if we got 30 people to come out and be extras. And we're in the house shooting the scene. My production assistant comes in. He says, hey, you got some more release forms. And I said, why? I said, I printed up like 40. And I said, how many more do you need? Like another like 10, like 5 or 10? He's like, no, I need like another 40. And I said, what? He's like, yeah, man, there's a line of people. Wow. Like, they were because we had makeup being done in the garage, and there was a line of people down my driveway.
I wish I saw that.
It was crazy. And my neighbors came out, man, and we ultimately we had over 100 people showed up that day.
On the first day?
Yep, first day of shooting.
What did it peak at? Like how?
It was about 105, something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so.
And this is all like no budget. Very minimal, probably marketing, right?
Yep. We went through some people. A guy named Sean McGregor. He did some. He got the extras, and it was, I don't know. He put the word out. I don't know what happened, but through social media, through him, through Jay, and us blasting it out, and over 100 people showed up the first day. So it kind of set the tone for what the movie was going to be. But,
awesome,
yeah.
Man. That's wild. Just like how you got from there to here, and how essentially you're saying that. I mean, obviously it wasn't easy, but if you really are determined and you want to make something happen, there's no reason why you can't go out there. Just ask the right people, talk to the right people. Next thing you know, you have a movie that you directed, and
and it's not going to happen overnight. I think, what we've done didn't happen overnight. We've been shooting sketches and shooting all these productions for the last 7 years, like when we teamed up. And, I think it's important that you be around like-minded people. When you get around like-minded people and people who have the same vision as you, they have the same passion and the same goals, and they just want to succeed. I think that's what's important, because like I said, I had stopped writing. that was my big thing. I've been writing since I was in college, and I stopped. And so then I met, Jay Davis, who's writing and constantly just always
And you
writing.
focused on what you did best.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So we just, we pretty much played our parts, and he was writing. He's in everything. He's the funny dude that you see on the covers and stuff. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's just say a few years back, I'm sitting over here like I was in my cubicle, and I was desperate. I didn't know what to do with myself anymore because I couldn't find that passion thing. I was thrown into a job that I had to do. Coming here, I had to pretty much make my parents happy that I was going to be a successful businessman.
Right.
And I hated it. But eventually I got out of that whole thing. I did something totally different. I quit. Like, what would you tell to somebody like that that's trying to find that passion, trying to find that thing they want to do next?
I wouldn't say immediately quit, and the reason why I say that is because even at your current job, you still need money. So, you still need money. I mean, I know people who do go out on a limb, and it does work for some people. So I'm not going to say it doesn't work. But for me, my original plan was if I didn't get into TV, if I never got into movies or anything like that, if I didn't get a job right out of college, which I got hired at a TV station about 6 months after I graduated from college. And if that didn't happen, my plan was I was going to come back, work in an office, sit at a cubicle, and just save up my money and write a script and just, pursue it that way.
So some way, somehow, you were going to get there.
Yep.
Nothing was going to stop you.
Right. That was the goal. Either way, I was going to somehow put myself in a position. And I always tell people, I tell my son this all the time. I say, you have to it's about putting yourself in a position. When you put yourself in a position, you position yourself for success. It's just like he was saying about, starting up his podcast in his in the lift and interviewing people, man, and in a magazine. That's like you putting yourself in a position. You meet the right people, and even coming out here, people who are in here, that's putting themselves in a position to network, to get information or whatever. So
right now, we want to do something special, something a little bit different. And we want to open up the mic. We want to see if there's anybody out there in the audience now that you know more about Donte Diesel Williams. If you got some crazy question you want to throw his way, any curveball.
I got crazy questions.
Yes, we want to make you a part of this show. We want to thank everybody for coming out. So if there's something you have a burning desire, feel free to kind of walk up to the mic that we have Steve next to you. Don't be afraid of Steve. Don't be too afraid of him.
He won't break your legs.
No.
Not if you didn't do anything. If you didn't do
definitely
anything.
not. All right, guys. So we have one member of the audience that had a question for both Donte and Miro. So he's going to ask the questions, and then you'll get the response. So just go ahead and give your name and what you do and anything you want to plug or whatever. But just ask your question, man. Thanks a lot.
Yes, hello. I'm Kyle. I drive for Lyft. I also work with my girlfriend with her magazine, which is called French Kiss Chicago. We actually do a podcast together called Casual Conversations of the Kiss Kind. So a question I have for Miro is, do you think there'd be a possibility to collaborate and we do a simulcast of our podcast where we're going to interview you? And then the question I have for Donte is, we're also looking into starting a cleaning company, and you talked about how you work with your wife, and she's on board with what you do and you have a good relationship with her. So going into business with my girlfriend, what do you recommend I do to make sure that things are good both with home life and work life?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
One thing, though. Can you
I agree.
reiterate what is your podcast about?
Oh, yes, Casual Conversations of the Kiss Kind. We like to interview someone in the first half from any different walk of life. And then in the second half, we tend to dive into different topics on mostly what's trending, what's going on, hard and soft topics. So we'll talk sports, we'll talk politics, we'll talk fashion, we'll talk pop culture, new movies, new music, just kind of what's ever going on.
Thanks so much for being here and kind of popping the cherry of the mic for everybody from the audience. So that's awesome. We definitely I'd love to collaborate. We could definitely talk about that. I love that you're just doing something, that you're out there, that, you obviously read your stats, your statistics, that podcasts are the future. People aren't listening to radios as much.
Yeah.
They're not listening to CDs, DVDs, whatever they would listen to normally. Podcasts are the thing. They're on demand.
Yep.
They're now. You can listen to it at any time, whenever you want. I would definitely make sure to niche down as much as possible too. Like, don't be afraid to figure out like exactly what you want to talk about too. Because right now it seems like you are a little general at the same time. But I think that just with experience, as you do it more often, maybe you'll kind of, there's that one specific topic you kind of want to talk about. Because if I come on your show, I want to be able to share kind of what you really want to know about me or what you really want to talk about. I guess, it is a good thing, though, that we could share whatever we want. I don't know exactly how you record your show. I know you mentioned recording them in lifts, maybe possibly, right, while driving. Is that something you're thinking about doing?
We do it in the studio.
Okay, it's in the studio. Oh, that you drive for Lyft. Okay. So different topic, but no, that's awesome. We definitely should talk about it more.
So and with me, I was want to clarify. I don't necessarily work with my wife because she doesn't do video or anything like that. But what I'll say is I am supportive of what she does. My wife is a pastry chef, and so one of the things I did was I tried to make sure, even though that I'm doing this, that she had a way to do her thing. So and do her business, and trying to support, but by even financing it or trying to give her the supplies she needs. But also I know I can't necessarily depend on, if you don't know the technical aspects or exactly what I do, I'm not gonna lean on you to try and but she is supportive. Don't get me wrong, she supports what I do and helps out, and as we've shot scenes at my house and she's been the one up late at night cleaning up and doing everything because I'm getting getting the scripts together, or I'm getting shot list and equipment and everything together. So it's kind of a partnership just in that way, where she helps me, but I've also helped her. So if you're going into business with your wife, I would say that if it's something that you guys are both passionate about, then I don't see a problem with it. If it's something that you have in common, go for it. I've seen people who do it and are successful.
Yeah, and I just want to elaborate, I don't know where you're at with your podcast right now. I don't know enough about it yet, but definitely just, if you're trying to grow it right now, I don't know what stage you're at. If you're just kind of still getting into it more, then I would definitely just niche a little bit more about, because then there's just so many podcasts out there because it's such a hot thing out right now. So it's not until you totally break it down into why I should listen over the thousands of other podcasts, and then specifically just you'll probably lose a lot of listeners that way, the generalists, but you're gonna gain those hardcore listeners that love that specific one thing that you and your wife, or whatever you guys talk about. So I would definitely do some soul searching with that as well.
He was smiling when I was saying the thing about the wife, and so I was wondering. I thought you were going to come back with something else.
I wanted to jump into about both of those things. My
fiance's at the show. Really quick,
she's here. We're going to talk to her.
So I rather not chime in on that topic.
Well, we're just to piggyback on what Miro was saying. First of all, is obviously you got to find what you're most comfortable doing. First and foremost, and then the audience will come. As long as you're natural and you're comfortable doing what it is you do. So there's no textbook way of how to do these things. But one thing, like you were saying before, about you listen to a podcast with a guy that just talks about watches. Sometimes it's the niche like that. People will listen. If you build it, they will come. So, I definitely agree with Miro. You don't want to be having so many pokers and so many different fires. Because then you have that you don't really have any serious listeners. Passionate people. If I'm going to listen to news, I go to my news outlet. If I'm going to listen to crime stories, I go to that crime podcast, whichever one, whatever it's called. I want to hear
interviews, I go to the specific entrepreneur podcasts. Like,
Yeah.
I usually rarely go to. That's just me, and that's just I don't know how you feel, Donte.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think like if I came on and he's talking about businesses and this is what he does. I mean, it's in the title, but he came in and talked to some kid about whatever
Fairy tales.
Yep. It's about fairy tales, anything,
I'm gonna turn it off right away.
Right. And so, people are like, what's Miro talking about? I don't know. But but in all honesty though, you have a topic that actually it goes across the lines if you're an entrepreneur, which it could be anything. So like, your business, my business, it could be video, it could be anybody doing finances or anything. So, but he's right. I think if you have one focus, one thing, that's what attracts people. People see that and they're gonna depend on exactly what you're talking about or what your podcast is.
Definitely.
Good question. Thanks for asking that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Definitely. And just the other thing, working with your family or your wife or somebody like that.
Right.
The last thing you want to do is bring work home if they're not seriously committed like you are. It's going to cause more problems than solutions. So that's what I would say. But it's if you guys are both interested in the same thing, why not?
Yep.
Give it a try, no matter what it is. And then, so we have another question. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that right now. All right. So just your name and whatever question you have, man.
All right, my name's Daniel. I'm a fellow creative myself. I do. I write music and I write screenplays and stories. I like to make movies. And engineer by day, creative 24/7. Question for both of you guys, actually. So Donte, you're interested in movies and stuff, and I made movies myself when I was in high school, and I used to make improv videos when I was in grade school. So when was the first time you made your first short movies and videos? And then for Miro, you said you were always you were trying to please your parents a lot, right?
Oh yeah.
And but you went with business, but in the beginning, and then you're doing obviously this successful podcast now. When did you realize you had that creative ability, and when did you know that you wanted to pursue that? So whatever you guys want, whoever goes first.
All right. So for me, I blame my father because my father got a camera when I was he got a video camera when I was like 8. And I would always jump in front of the camera, crazy, doing crazy stuff. And, I always wanted to kind of do a short film. And what he didn't know was that a lot of times when he was at work or gone, he told me not to touch his camera. I would, grab the camera and my cousin would just do the same thing. He'd be stupid on camera and I would just, record him doing stupid stuff. And so I guess those might have been my first short movies and stuff. When I was a teen, I would take the camera, whether it was my niece or whatever, I would just record them. Or we would around the house, we would be silly because we had one of those old Panasonics that you put on your shoulder. This back in the 80s. And,
those big ones, right? Those big cameras.
So, I'm probably showing my age, but I was a kid in the 80s, and that's what we had, man. And I was fascinated by it, and so it sparked that creative drive in me. I love that. I love drawing. I love taking pictures. I always had a camera of some type since I was about 5, and so my parents bought me a Fisher-Price camera when I was 5 years old, and I went around the house taking pictures, snapshots. I got a whole photo album from 1987 and 88 because I was a kid taking it to get developed and everything like that. But it just progressed to film. I had this love of, I actually liked old films. So growing up, man, in the summers, what I would do, and a lot of people don't know this, I used to watch old black and white movies. So I watched all the old Shirley Temple movies and everything, from the 1950s and, the 40s and 50s and stuff like that. And, Casablanca. And when I got to college, it was just like I was watching that in my classes. So I was like, this is school. Like, this is great. But, it's always been something that's been in me since I was a kid. And also, first time I was actually in a TV studio, I was 12. So I actually was recording. I was there to record a rap. And I messed up the rap. I was on there. I got nervous. And I messed up. I had all these lights.
You were
shining.
the one rapping?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you can't believe that.
Can you
No, I
repeat that
cannot.
right now?
Yes, I can. I can remember because I messed it up.
You remember the
So
rap?
it was a 30-second anti-drug rap, and so it went this way, and I didn't even write it. My friend said,
Oh, man.
my
This
friend-
is
Read
a
the
boss
script?
to boss exclusive, everybody.
Okay, here
That's
we
for
go.
sure.
Here we go. It's also on YouTube, so y'all can see me mess this up. Hopefully, I don't mess it up now. But it went this way. Drugs are no good in this neighborhood. We try to keep our neighborhood looking real good, so you better think once. You better think twice. Don't you know drugs will ruin your life? I messed that up.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yes.
And so when I messed it up, here's a weird thing. I still wanted to be behind the camera. I saw all those cameras and everything, and it was all right over here at Can Studios back in the day. And I was just like, I still want to come back to this. So, that's the passion just never left. And I always tell people, like, just follow your passion. This is something like you're creative. We can do this forever. You can do podcasts forever. These are things that we don't have to retire. We can just do it. We can keep doing it. So
So if there's one thing we all get out of this is that when you are a kid, do exactly the opposite of what your parents tell you to do.
right. If you mess up, there's other options.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. Well, Daniel, thanks so much just for asking a question and for being here. Definitely turning into somewhat of a creative, I guess. I don't even know if that's what I categorize myself
Yeah,
as.
you are a creative, man.
But I went into like a regular accounting career, which is a polar opposite of this. But before that, I was always like doing things in sales. I was DJing on the side, trying to get like events going on and day trading. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I just realized that so much is happening, so much time is going by. It'd be so amazing to just be able to look back at it and have some sort of documentation of everything, of just like where I'm going to be, because I knew I was going to do something good, something successful. And I wanted to know what's like the easiest way, what's the hottest way. And podcasting was new at the time. It was new like 6-7 years ago, but 2 years ago when I fully got into it, it was still just cracking, kind of, just barely scratching the surface. And it was easy. I literally started recording on my phone in the car driving to work.
Oh,
like
wow.
That's how I did my
Wow.
first few ever episodes, which was an old podcast that is still around called Love the Journey. And I recorded myself like right before I walked into the office and quit. I recorded myself doing a podcast
wow.
episode literally right after the feelings. And now I could go back and kind of listen to that and how I felt during those moments. And since it expanded, because I wanted to share it with other individuals and talk with people that have done similar things and kind of just took control of their life. So honestly, it's just podcasting is such a great avenue. Like you could literally download an app called Audible. That's how I got started. I believe that's the name, right? Audible? Anchor, my bad.
wow.
Anchor is how I got started. And it's so simple. You could just literally plug and play. You use your phone and you use your voice.
Wow.
And that's it. And they will pretty much release your episode. Obviously, there's like it's part of an app, so there's going to be an advertisement on it and everything. It's not going to be as professional, but it's just like an easy way to just get started for fun. And it's as simple as that. But now we take it to another level here with Boss to Boss, where we could help, actually produce a professional podcast from beginning to end and teach you the ins and outs of how to actually get everything and get yourself to where we're at and beyond. There's podcasts are unlimited. Google hasn't even scratched the surface yet. It's mostly been Apple.
Yep.
So once Google fully gets into it, that's like a whole another market that's untapped right now. And as people just switch over.
Just to piggyback
radio.
off what you're saying, man. Like even with like Serial and I've heard Serial on Pandora and like you said Spotify, and you got so many platforms now that it's becoming something that people want to hear about regular people. They want to hear somebody like themselves, like yourself, who has been through, all the rigors of, what life has dealt, and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do next. And this is how I came out of this. This is what, I decided to do. And people want to hear that, man. They want to hear those stories.
People want to hear something real, and especially with so much abundance of information out there, and so many people just recycling the same thing inside and out every single day in a different package. They're trying to sell you, on one of those infomercials. It's constantly, it's a struggle out there. So just being real and being yourself and just making it happen is what it's all about at the end of the day.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit.
Here we go.
The leg breaker, Steve Wiley, has chimed in. He has chimed in. And
Speed round.
He is mentioning that it is time for the listener's favorite segment of the show.
I got to take a minute to think first.
Welcome to the round with no name, because they're all taken.
The thing is, you can't think right now.
know.
You can't. There's no breaks. There are no breaks. Steve doesn't allow breaks. We don't take breaks with boss to boss. You got to pee. You got to hold it in. It doesn't matter. We're going. You can't think.
Let's do it.
You can't think too hard. You got to answer every question within 5 seconds.
Let's do it.
That's it.
Let's do it.
So without further ado, Donte, what is your favorite book?
From welfare to faring well.
Your favorite movie? Can't be your own.
Can't be my own. I can't say my own movie. Okay. Finding Forrester.
If it is your own, then which one?
Not another black movie.
Who has been or is your greatest mentor?
My father.
That's always a solid answer. Anybody with family. Anything with family, I guess, at the end of the day.
Well, my parents, I would say my mother, too, because I had both of them, man. They equal. My parents actually just had their 49th anniversary this past
Oh, that's huge. Congratulations.
Monday. Yeah, man. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, they just...
Mr. and Mrs.
Williams, yep.
Williams. There you go.
Yep.
If you were tomorrow to be stranded on an island, and Steve Wiley would not be on that island. It's just you individually, by yourself. What was the one item you want with you? Not a person.
Oh, man.
World is done, man.
My
We're
laptop. Oh, we're done?
done. We're done.
Oh, well, a life supply of food.
A life supply of food. I
There we
mean,
go.
I don't know if we allow that answer, but we'll give it to you. I guess it's better than saying an iPhone, because good luck with that.
I couldn't do anything with that. I keep myself occupied as long as I can eat.
And now for some more serious questions. How do you drink your coffee?
It depends. If
Oh.
if I got donuts, black. If I don't have donuts, then I got a little cream and sugar. Just a little.
That's a solid answer right there.
That is a solid answer. Where do you usually go for the black and donuts?
At home.
Oh, you make your own donuts?
My wife is a pastry chef, so she can make anything.
Curveball. Oh man, not every. Yeah, clearly we can't copy that one. I mean,
Yeah, spoiled.
take notes, everybody. Take notes. Any fiancés in the audience? Take notes. Wives, girlfriends,
Uh-oh.
husbands,
I think we got one back here.
boyfriends,
We got
everything.
one back here.
What is the one item you carry on you every day, or something you must consume or wear? Like one thing that makes you different that you can't go a day without.
Usually either my watch or my wedding ring, or both.
Is there something? I guess I know the significance of the wedding ring, but the watch.
The watch is just I got used to it. My wrist feels naked if I don't have it on. So.
And what kind of watch is it? In case we.
It's an Acrobos.
Acrobos
watch.
I mean, it's definitely something that catches eyes. If you're here live, if you're here in person, you can see it. It definitely catches eyes. If you had an unlimited amount of money and you could start up any business you wanted, what would it be? Can't be your own.
Can't be my own. I guess I would. I want to make money though, man.
Anything you want.
Okay. I mean, can't be a video business. I just have to produce videos, man. I mean, this is what I do. Produce video.
You wouldn't do anything else. If you had literally $1 million just sitting there, but you have to do something else besides the videos.
I
with
would
it.
still create TV shows. Because people need content. If other than that, it's gonna be a business for my wife. it'll be open to the business for her. So.
Solid answer. I hope she's tuning in.
I don't think so.
No.
But, but it's live, so
You-
hopefully she can see this.
You got some points right now. And last but not least, how do you feel about socks and sandals? And would you take me seriously if I were wearing some right now?
You know what? I don't like wearing sandals, and I have worn socks with sandals, but that was like in the 90s. So,
Hey, man, we're bringing it back.
so
We're bringing it back.
But you can't. I think you can. I think you can, but it has to be like if you're wearing Nike sandals or Adidas or something like that. It has to be like a sports type.
okay.
You can't wear.
Can't just be any.
You can't
sandals.
have the hemp. You can't have the hemp sandals and then have on like some black or brown socks. It doesn't work, man.
Oh man. Well, I wish I made a smarter wardrobe choice.
Because look, at least if you're wearing Nike or Adidas or whatever, and you wear socks, you look like you're an athlete. You look
That
like
is
you
true.
look like you just got finished playing football or some sport.
I didn't think about that.
I have to chime in because actually, who was it? The guest that said the only way that they would even consider it was if they were just wearing them to go from the car to the basketball court.
Yeah, well,
You know
see,
what I mean?
and when you play football, like
Yeah.
a lot of football players wear sandals. That's because when you're wearing cleats, and if it's hot outside, your feet expand and they get hot in those cleats. So immediately you just want to take those cleats off and put on some sandals and keep your feet cool.
I'll find my excuse.
Miro needs to find a good excuse.
Oh.
You know what? Next time I'm just doing it. Like that's it. Like I'm just coming here with the socks and sandals, and it's
is it
happening.
that your fiance doesn't like you wearing those?
I don't think so. No.
It must have not been a deal breaker.
Right. See, there you go.
I'm not allowed to
You-
do it
you-
outside the house.
Shit, you still won.
Not yet. Not yet.
Uh-oh.
But things can be arranged. But
Things
No.
change when you get married.
that's a whole nother show, a whole nother topic. We don't have to get into that anytime soon. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Just if you are just listening to the podcast and you want to put a face to the name with Donte Diesel Williams, make sure to check out his Instagram. It's at Donte Diesel, just one word, Donte Diesel, and Facebook /Donte.Williams.501.
and also Donte, because some people spell Dante DAN, so it's DONTE Diesel. So
And anything, you got anything else coming up? Anything like big that the audience or the listeners could tune in and kind of be on the lookout for?
yeah, Jay Davis and myself are constantly releasing sketches. We also, like I said, we're shooting a pilot show called Stepdads right now. Actually, I got some scripts that I've actually finished and are in the works for like pilot TV shows as well. So, we stay tuned in to what we're doing. People who always want to be in projects, just look on our page, man. Look on my page. I share what he posts, so you can always see things that we're up to. And also, man, I just want to say thank you, man, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I was like, man, somebody wants to have me on the show besides Simeon. So
Shout out to Simeon, he's awesome.
So and also it's going to be May 4th. It's going to be on the west side of Chicago. If anybody's interested, I am participating. The NBC has allowed me to be able to participate and actually speak at our Comcast Cares event. So I'm going to be speaking to the youth at our Comcast Cares event.
That's a huge event, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have it every year, and so this year it's on the west side. It's in my neighborhood, with my old neighborhood, but my parents still live there. So they give me the opportunity to be able to speak to the youth, and that's what I like to do that every year. So, or I like to at least speak to youth every year. I do career days and stuff like that at different schools. So if anybody is in the area, you can come on out to that event as well.
And just to clarify, I did not meant to say a sketchy comedy show. I meant to say a sketch comedy show.
It is kind of sketchy. It's uncensored. It's a lot of things, man.
There's a lot going on.
It's a lot of things. I mean, we got some crazy sketches. If you look on our page, we constantly post. Actually, we're still shooting sketches for season 2. Mm-hmm. So we're almost done, but we still got other sketches we're shooting right now.
Yeah, and
we got if you go on our page, or if you go on, like I say, my page or Jay Davis's page, his page is also Jay Davis TP. The TP is for I don't want to say, but that's attached to his name for some reason. So You go on both of our pages and you'll see those sketches.
My mind is wandering right now. Hardcore. That's a cliffhanger, huh?
Oh yeah. Just
Imagine what you
have
want.
you have to see what we're doing. That's it.
Well, Donte Diesel Williams, it's been a pleasure to have you on.
Oh man, thank you.
Everybody, thanks for participating, being here at Atlantic Bar and Grill, here with Boss to Boss Productions and a podcast here. Steve Wiley and the team. Thanks for everybody for coming out.
Leg breaker.
The leg breaker. See, it's catching on.
I did not come up with that. I don't have. I do not take
It's going to
responsibility
stick
for that.
though.
It's gonna stick. It already sticks. I mean,
it's sticky. I know.
people are asking like, I don't want to talk to you, Miro. Can I talk to the leg breaker today? I mean, those are the calls I'm getting recently. So, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Crush the rest of your week.
That is all for this episode of Boss to Boss. Your next step is to visit bosstoboss.com, where you will find proven techniques followed by professionals to help you make that next step. Again, that is boss2boss.com. And remember, the time is now.